Good morning. I'm Tom Brudenell with Intermediate Spanish today. So if you're not in this class, you're still welcome to visit, but I don't take responsibility for your confusion. And for those of you who are in this class, I'll take some responsibility for your confusion because it is a confusing lesson. It's all about imperatives or command forms. So I have constructed a little bit of a grid, but I'm not sure that the way I wrote it out for myself is going to be the best. So the thing that I would say at the outset is that there are three variables. And so it's kind of like, well, if you've ever done square roots, you know how difficult that is. But if you think about cube roots in math, that's a lot more difficult. So I'm going to try to put up here on the chart. I'm hoping you can see it. I'm hoping I have a clear color to write with. I don't see black here.
You need a black one? I'll go get you a black one.
Well, we might be able to get a black one if this isn't enough, but I've used this before. Can you read that okay? Please signal that you can, or if you cannot.
Okay, you're just writing it right now. I can see it. Don't have any comments. There's 5 people watching. There's 6 people watching. No comments so far.
Okay. Well, I did get a very nice note from one of the students who described in narrative what I'm going to try to show you up here on a grid. The verbs that end in AR characteristically change the A to the E when they're used, but that's not invariable. Verbs ending in ER and IR change the E to an A, and again, that's the usual, but it's not invariable. Then there's a first person, like a let us, first person plural, let us do something. And if it is a reflexive, which is nos, but the verb ends in mos, the S on the mos, the first S, gets dropped. So we'll deal with that in a minute. We have 3 variables, positive or negative, formal or familiar, and singular or plural. So let's start out with the formal or familiar. The familiar is tú. The formal is usted. That's the singular. Then we have the plurals, which are vosotros, or if they're all female, vosotras, and ustedes. I always use the abbreviation. I don't write it out. that's the usual way it's done in print anyway. So then we have the other variable, which is positive or negative. So positive or negative can be, of course, clearly understood by its definition. So let me give you some examples of regular verbs. We use hablar, for example. So that's an AR verb. So the familiar do command is habla. Looks like the indicative third person. And excuse me, the negative would be tú no hables. There we have the change in the negative command. Now, when we have a pronoun that gets added, like speak to me or don't speak to me, it goes like this. Háblame. Speak to me. But don't speak to me. No me hables. That's the to form. The usted form would be no me hable. This is the to form. This is the usted form. Now let's do a plural of the two is vosotros. That's easy. You take the infinitive, hablar, and you just change it to a D. Hablad, speak. You, my friends, my first name friends, hablad. Habladme. You, my friends, speak to me. Talk to me. Now, what happened here with the negative is we used a switch of the characteristic, or what they call the theme vowel. It actually is what's known as subjunctive in Spanish. So, háblame, the A, in the negative, it changes to the E. In the familiar, it does the same thing. No me hables. So we have the change of the vowel from A to E, as we did here and here. That the subject of this is vosotros, the subject of this is vosotros. This is the negative, this is the positive. You'll see the theme that when it's a negative command, you get the pronoun before the vowel, before the verb, excuse me, and in the positive it comes after. Now let's take a different verb that has a different type of ending.
Okay, Alan says, also Brian and Livy are here.
Okay?
And Alan said, I thought it would be Hablame, Hablame, I'm sorry, NME, in the command for the nosotros. Adding a D is new to me.
Okay. This is news. But the plural of me or I is we or us. Okay? So that's a little, that was in your text. Let us speak is hablemos. Hablemos. This addresses your question, Alan. We're using a subjunctive form. Now, if we wanted a reflexive, like let's talk to each other, which is the same thing as let's talk to us. Blemo, and they drop this S because we're going to add nos. Hablémonos, let's talk to each other, or let's all talk together. Hablémonos. Does that address your question, Alan?
Okay, hasn't gotten there yet. Okay, now it just went through.
Excuse me?
Just went through. So I'm waiting on Alan. Why the D, question mark?
By the D?
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the positive, it indicates it's a vosotros command. You take the R away and add the D, and that means you're speaking to a group of your first name people. Nosotros or vosotros or vosotras. I see the delay.
Nothing. He said, okay.
Okay, all right.
He said, was this covered in the notes in lesson 12?
I'll have to check to know if it's thoroughly covered in the chapter or not. What I'm going to do is I'm going to construct a grid as a handout. Okay, so you don't have to invent your own. You can do your best to try. That would be a good exercise, but it's not necessary. The thing that's a constant through this is if it's a negative command, the object comes before the noun. If it's a positive command, it gets tacked on to the end of the command verb form. As in this case, habladme.
Alan said, great, continue on.
Thank you, Alan. Let's see. Now, let's take an ER or an IR verb. Let's just use escribir. To write. So we want the positive commands. Escribe. Tú escribe. You write. Write me. Escríbeme. We added a syllable. We want to keep the stress in the same place, so we add an accent. Escríbeme. Similarly, if we make it a negative, no me escribas. Here we've gone to the subjunctive form. With tú, we're going to use the native vowel. With the negative and the usted, we're going to use the other vowel. So if it's usted, escríbame. Or no me escriba. Again, usted. So what's different with commands, normally we're seeing a change in the vowel, but in the case of the to form in the positive, we change the vowel there, and we don't change the vowel here, but we do it in all the other forms. So if we want to make this a plural, I'm sorry, yeah, if we want to make this a plural, we want to use vosotros as the subject. Where we change the R in the infinitive to the D. Make that D a little more. Escribidme. That is, the subject is vosotros, you all, my friends, write me. If we want to do that in the negative, no me escribáis. We change the vowel in the negative, just the way we did in the singular. Escríbeme, escribidme, you all. No me escribas tú, no me escribáis vosotros.
Alan said, I'm sure this will all come together when I'm fluent in 10 years.
It is a very complicated scheme, and the way it's learned is just through repetition and experience, the way it's really learned automatically. That's the way we learn our own language. We don't, I mean, we could talk about English exceptions from now till the sun goes away. But, okay. So we have those three those three variables. Is it formal or familiar? Is it positive or negative? And is it singular or plural? So what that means is you've got three multipliers there, which is the same thing as cubing a number. Okay, instead of square, it's a cube. So if you know how to derive in math a cube root, then this shouldn't be a problem. But if you don't, which none of us probably does, it just takes seeing it and experiencing it. So I will work up a chart that I can give you as a handout, and that'll be the best way to have it make sense to you. Now, there are some verbs, as you know, that don't even follow that pattern. For example, we know that poner has a first person singular in the indicative, pongo, and there are several other verbs that do the same, follow the same pattern. I won't say they do the same trick, but maybe that'll help understand. So the to form in the positive is simply pon. Poner in the sense of put or put to me, serve me. Ponme café con leche. We add to the positive command, we add the object pronoun, ponme. Serve me coffee with milk. You're speaking to one person there. The plural would be poned, where we just substitute the R in the infinitive. Ponedme. That means you and you and you, who are working together, all first name basis, serve me coffee. Ponedme café con leche. There are certain verbs that do the same kind of thing. The singular form of poner is pon. For salir, it's sal. The same word for salt, but it doesn't mean salt. It means leave. Sal ahora, go now, leave now. Decir. These are in the familiar now. Di. Dime, for example, means tell me. If I want you to tell me something specific that we've talked about, dímelo, tell it to me. We add a syllable, we have to add the accent to keep the stress on the same syllable. Hacer. These are all the two forms now. Tu pon, tu sal, tu di, as. With a Z. Us. Hazme un favor. Do me a favor. Venir, to come, is ven. Tú, ven, you, come. Ven mañana. Come tomorrow. It's not usually used reflexively. Salir, sal. Tú, sal, leave. And ir is ve. You'll remember, I hope, that irse reflexively means to go away or leave. Vete is the to form of you, leave. It can be in a command form and telling somebody go away, or it can just say go now. You can leave now. It doesn't have to be the harsh interpretation.
Alan said these irregulars are listed on page 261 of lesson 12.
Right? 261, page 261. I'm not sure they're all there. Let's see. Oh yes, we have a confusion here. From ser we have se, meaning you be, se bueno, or buena. Be good. Okay, and the other one that I didn't mention before. Oh, okay, here's a good one. On 261, we have ve al mercado from ir. Go to the market. But then we have ver, to see. Same form. Now, how do you tell the difference between ve al mercado and ve la película? See the movie. Now, in English, we often say watch the movie, but Spanish, when they look at television, they see television. They use ver. When they go to a movie, they don't watch a movie, they see the movie. They use the verb ver. So, ve la película, clear, it means see the movie. Ve al mercado, go to the market. So these two forms are identical, but so you have to interpret that in context. The other little irregularity amongst these irregularities is ir in the formal usted, this is tú, usted is vaya. Vaya al mercado. You, the person I address as my superior or my senior or my unfamiliar person, vaya, you go. Now remember that irse means to go away. So if we said váyase, that would mean you, formal, go away, or leave now. Or sometimes it's just go away, get out of here. Sometimes it's just you can go now. So it's not necessarily a dismissive thing in the negative sense. Well, this is your starter, okay? I will construct a grid for you that will have the three variables. What are they? Positive or negative, formal or familiar, singular or plural. So we'll have all of these variables laid out in a grid to show you how they're done. The one thing that seems consistent throughout the command forms is if there's an object that gets put on the end of the positive command, it goes before the verb in the negative command. So, just for example, dime, tell me. In the formal, dígame. Speak to me. Tell me. Now, if I wanted to add another object to this, I would just tack it on. Dímelo. Dígamelo. We keep the stress in the same place, but we have to add an accent on this one because it didn't need it in the first place. Dímelo. Tú. Dígamelo usted. Oops. Dime, tell me. Dímelo, tell it to me. Dígame, speak to me. Dígamelo, tell it to me. The lo is like our it in this case, whatever it is. The lo is a neuter form. It doesn't have to be assigned a gender, because whatever it is might be a bunch of stuff that doesn't have a gender.
How are you going to get the grid to the students?
Excuse me?
How will you get the grid to the students?
Well, I'll print it up, and
I can email it.
and Jackie says they can mail it to you.
Email.
I only have a couple of emails, so it's better to just get the whole thing sent out at one time. So these are covered in pages 260. Nope, 258 through 263. So that's 5 pages in the text that we've just covered here in about a half an hour or so.
Mm-hmm.
So I suggest that you may have taken notes from this, but I suggest you go to page 258 and to the top of 263 and study those and see if there's any difference between that and what I put up here. One of the things that I did notice at the end of 263, when you have the command to the vosotros person, the D disappears when os is added. Okay, so the verb sentar, say, meaning to sit down, is in the vosotros form, sentad, but because this is substitutes for the R in the infinitive, it gets dropped with the reflexive for vosotros, os. Y'all sit down. Sentaos. And the opposite of that is to levantar, right? Levantarse is the infinitive form, but the D drops off when you add the os. Levantaos. Excuse me, levantaos. And one other, you remember divertirse, which literally speaking means distract yourself or entertain yourself. We say have a good time. That's the infinitive. That would be the command form, except that we drop the D when we add the reflexive for vosotros, divertios, vosotros. Y'all, my friends, have a good time. Enjoy yourselves. So, what I suggest you do is study that series of pages very carefully. Beginning with page 258, I believe. Right. They start out with the ustedes, and then they go to the nosotros, and then they go to the negative two, I'm not sure why they go that route, but nonetheless, it's still comprehensive by the time you get to the top of page 263. So what I'll do is I'll have a chart for you, but I think those pages will probably make more sense than just a chart. But the chart will be a shortcut once you've understood the variables. Then what we'll do is we'll have some English that you'll be asked to write in Spanish. And that'll be what we call the acid test. It means that you've absorbed it in a way that you can come up with it yourself instead of just trying to look at a page and figure out what is this actually saying. That's the hard part. But that's the goal. So you have to do the reading, you have to do the understanding, and then you have to kind of come up with your own English phrases you might like to, using these verbs, coming and using these patterns. And so if I tell you as you do this, divertidos, that means y'all have a good time doing this. Okay. What else is in this chapter? Oh, I wanted you, I believe, to read the captions on the previous chapter of the photos. On page 250, you may know more of this history than I do. Okay, start with 244. The caption for Independencia
Teresa Roberts has a question.
Yes.
On
Teresa.
page 269, 26A,
269, 259, 269.
269. Number 26A, why does Wayne have an A accent in the first sentence but not the second?
That's a very good question. I don't think it belongs there. It's not necessary. So there, I don't see any reason why they've just put it there. There are scattered imperfections in this text. Nice question. I never noticed it, but I haven't used this book this intensively before. So I'll put a circle around that in my master book copy. Soy buen ciudadano. I'm a good citizen. Now, in your case, Teresa, since you are not masculine, you would say soy buena ciudadana. The A would add to the buen in that case. But buen is the short form of the masculine singular. Nice to have sharp students. Thank you. We have a few imperatives that are irregular. I think they're covered somewhere in the book, but ser is se, and that has an accent to distinguish it from that third person reflexive pronoun. Ir is be. These are all the two forms. Usted forms are sea, and the plural ustedes would be sean. Be is bea, or bean in the plural. Decir is di. Is diga, or digan, in the formal. Venir is ben, or venga, vengan. Salir is sal, salga, or salgan. And the plural of these is take the infinitive and add the D. So, sed. Ustedes, sed. Or vosotros, sed. Excuse me. Vosotros, eat. Vosotros, digáis. Not sure about that. Decir. Take the infinitive and replace the R with a D. Venid. Salid. It does follow the formula, it's just kind of hard to get it out of my mind in one breath. If you look on page 244, it shows you at the bottom the sequence of the pronouns in the affirmative command. They are tacked on to the verb. And in the negative, at the top of 245, they come before the verb. That's a general rule. Notice on page 244, we have a double object. After démelo por favor, give it to me, please, we have tráiganoslo. Tráiganoslo. That's from traer. The formal command is traigan. And this expression means bring it to us, so it'd be nos lo. But we just can't have this double N. So that's why one is dropped out. And if you look at the negatives on page 245, scrolling down, the negative of that is no nos lo traiga. No nos lo traiga. That's the negative of the tráiganoslo when the N and the nos got dropped because the traigan was the usted plural. Oh, I'm sorry. Tráiganoslo is the usted command. That's the singular. If it were plural, you wouldn't have a double N, I don't think. As you can tell, this is a pretty complicated set of things to learn. And if it weren't complicated, I wouldn't be backing up and telling you something different. So believe me, I have sympathy, if not pity, for you learning all of this stuff with the commands, the positive, the negative, the formal, the familiar, the singular, and the plural. All those three variables. There are a few that changed their route. If you look on your page 247, number 6, servir changes its the E to an I, like decir to eat the I in the stem. So you have number 6, no les sirvo café a ustedes. I'm not serving coffee to you all. And the response here is serve us coffee. Sírvanos café, where sirva is the verb. It's the subjunctive, essentially, form of servir. Sírvanos café, serve us coffee. And if you look at number 9, there's also a change in the root that you can derive from the indicative first person singular, as you did with servir, is sirvo, is I serve, and in number 9, pedir, in the first person singular, IRS request, pido. So you use that PID root in the command form. And you're familiar with number 11, the indicative of I speak is digo, so it dígalo, and salgalo in number 12, and so forth and so on. One of the ones that's, a couple of the ones that are different altogether, saber, the root is sepa. That's the first person singular in the subjunctive. Sepa is the command form, then. Know. Know this. Sepa esto. And conocer remember that the first person singular in the indicative conozco with a ZC, so conozca is the generic starter for the subjunctive or the command form. So my command to you is conozcan estas formas. Be familiar with these forms. And then if I say sepan estas formas, know them. Okay? Difference between knowing and being familiar and knowing thoroughly. The one comes before the other. We all are better at passively knowing things than we are at actively knowing them and knowing how to use them. I know this is a challenge, and that's why I'm going to construct my own grid for you. But I did want you to look back at the captions of the photos. We have a couple of minutes. Page 233. I'm going to read this to you. Los españoles quisieron destruir totalmente los templos paganos. The Spanish wanted to destroy totally the pagan temples. Now, the interesting thing is that with querer in the preterite, which this is, quisieron, it means not only wanted to, it means they tried to. They wanted to so bad they put that want into action. So querer in the preterite has its own kind of special meaning. They tried to destroy, totally destroy the pagan temples. Intentaron construir. Intentar is not to intend. is to try. Intentar is to try. Intentaron es construir iglesias encima de las ruinas de los antiguos templos. They tried to build churches on top of the ancient temple ruins. La Catedral de México, la más grande del Nuevo Mundo, the Cathedral in Mexico, the largest in the New World, se construyó. Now this is a different meaning than the literal reflexive. It's one way Spanish uses to make a passive voice out of it. So instead of it constructed itself, it was constructed, okay? So the Cathedral of Mexico, the largest of the New World, was constructed en el mismo lugar, in the same place, donde tenían los aztecas su templo mayor, where the Aztecs had their major, or their larger, or their main temple. So that's the caption there. Little history. Not glorified, necessarily. Okay, page 244, caption of the photo. This I'll have to defer to Teresa, who's the art expert in our contingent. Independencia, libertad. Independence, freedom, liberty. A principios del siglo XIX, notice they always use Roman numerals in Spanish for year numbers. Los colonos del Nuevo Mundo, the colonists in the New World, sobre todo los criollos. What are criollos? What are creoles? Gente de sangre europea, pero nacida en América. People born of European blood, born in America. Se rebelaron contra el poder de España. They rebelled against the power of Spain y establecieron en Hispanoamérica nuevas naciones, and established in Hispanic America new nations, libres e independientes, free and independent. Well, we all know that, but it was a process, not an instant occurrence. So I've worn you out, if not myself. I'll see you next time. Thank you all for your attention and your questions and so forth.